Ladies and gentlemen, the president of Stony Brook University, Dr. Samuel L. Stanley, Jr.
Where's my debate opponent? Thank you so much for coming and welcome. We're very fortunate at Stony Brook University to have a number of individuals, elected officials, as well as volunteers who are deeply committed to the university and support us every day of the year. A number of them are here today, and I wanted to extend a special welcome. First of all, a great friend, the chairman of the Stony Brook Council, as well as the president of the Long Island Association, co-chair of the REDC. I'm looking for him in the audience. There he is, my good friend Kevin Law. Kevin, welcome. Did I say Stony Brook alum too? Yes, but Stony Brook alum also, which is great. Another member of the Stony Brook Council, Chris Hahn. Chris, there he is. Thank you. A great friend to Stony Brook University, a member of our Stony Brook community, a Stony Brook alum, Stony Brook faculty member, and a distinguished assemblyman, Steve Engelbright. Steve, welcome. Another great friend to Stony Brook University. His district is right in our R&D park. Please join me in welcoming Mike Fitzpatrick. Michael, there he is. Another friend of Stony Brook, and his district encompasses Southampton as well as our Riverhead operation and the Calverton Incubator. Please join me in welcoming Anthony Palumbo. Anthony. Suffolk County legislator and Stony Brook alum, Robert Calarco. Robert. Suffolk County legislator Leslie Kennedy. Leslie. Brookhaven Town Councilman Neil Foley. Port Jefferson Village Mayor Margot Garant. Margot. Representing Governor Andrew Cuomo, Vanessa Lockett. Representing United States Senator Chuck Schumer, Kyle Strober. There's Kyle. See? Representing U.S. Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, Deborah Tinarello, and Olivia Jean Charles. Representing Suffolk County Executive Steve Bellone, Lisa Santaramo, Stony Brook alum. Lisa. Representing Suffolk County Legislator Thomas Baraga, Brittany Toledano. Representing Suffolk County Legislator Kate Browning, Andrea Ulyss. Representing Town of Brookhaven Supervisor Ed Romaine, Kevin Malloy. Representing Brookhaven Town Councilwoman Valerie Cartwright, Jennifer Martin. Deputy Commissioner for Suffolk County Economic Development and Planning, Lou Bukowski. Lou. And Deputy Commissioner for Suffolk County Department of Public Works, Darnell Tyson. Thank you all so much for coming today. Very much appreciate, again, your engagement and interest in Stony Brook. The first thing I want to do is begin with welcoming our new faculty. This is a time-honored tradition at Stony Brook, something we're very proud of. Unlike the calendar, for us, autumn is the time of renewal as opposed to spring. Autumn is when we welcome our new faculty, when we welcome students back. It is the time for renewal and engagement, and the new faculty are absolutely critical to that renewal, critical to pushing the university forward. So if our new faculty could please stand so we could greet you, any of you that are here. There they are. Wow. That's great. So, for those of you I haven't met already, I look forward to meeting you at the reception and learning all about what you're doing and what you're going to be doing at Stony Brook. At the same time, I want to tell you, as I've said in the past, all of us here today are absolutely committed to your success. We are so pleased that you've decided to begin your careers or continue your careers at Stony Brook University. And speaking on behalf of the administration, on behalf of all the other faculty, students, and staff here, we want you to succeed. We will work to have you to succeed, to really help push Stony Brook University forward. You are our future. Thank you so much for coming again. So I want to take some time to introduce some of the new members of the Stony Brook University team. First, after a national search, we were very fortunate to recruit an absolutely outstanding person to become the next provost of Stony Brook University. His name is Michael Bernstein. I've announced this already. He was the provost at Tulane University, where he took over after Hurricane Katrina and helped Tulane University, which had been devastated by that hurricane, rebuild and become again a great AAU university. Please join me. We have his picture here, but please join me. He happens to be visiting before his start date of October 31st. Please join me in welcoming to Stony Brook University, Michael Bernstein. So pleased he's here. Again, he's going to be available. He'll be at the reception and so on, so you can, all those pent-up questions you have, he'll be available to answer. 1 minute per person, please. I wanted to thank Chuck Tabor. Chuck has been doing an outstanding job as interim provost and senior vice president for academic affairs. He has, of course, been an outstanding dean of graduate education at Stony Brook. I've always said that I believe the provost is the toughest job at Stony Brook University, and I think interim provost must be even tougher than being provost. And Chuck has handled this with grace, but not only that, he's moved things forward during his tenure. Please join me in thanking Chuck Tabor so much on behalf of the university. Thank you. Last year, we made a very important hire when we brought Bob Megna to Stony Brook University. As many of you know, Bob had led the Division of Budget for New York State, $135 billion annual budget. He'd been the tax controller for the state of New York, and when we brought him to Stony Brook University, he was serving as head of the New York Thruway Authority, helping to build the Tappan Zee Bridge. So his knowledge of finance, his knowledge of facilities is really probably unparalleled in the state, and we're so glad that he joined Stony Brook University. Bob, welcome again on behalf of everyone. The role of Vice President for Information Technology and Chief Information Officer is absolutely vital at Stony Brook University. IT underpins so many of the things we do every day. That's why I was so pleased that we were able to recruit from a fellow AAU school, the University of Oregon, Melissa Wu, to become our new Vice President for Information Technology and Chief Information Officer. She's nationally recognized for her skills in this area, both in terms of being at the cutting edge of technology, but also being a superb manager as well. Melissa, welcome to Stony Brook. Stony Brook is a global university, and we need an outstanding leader in that area. We're very pleased that we're able to recruit from Georgia State University, June Liu, to be Vice Provost for Global Affairs and Dean for International Academic Programs and Services. June is already doing a number of creative things to really help build our international program at Stony Brook. So again, join me in welcoming June. And very exciting, at Stony Brook Medicine, we were able to bring in Lyle Douglas Reed, L. Douglas Reed, to be the founding dean of our School of Pharmacy. He comes to us from the University of Texas at Tyler College of Pharmacy, where he was Associate Dean for Academic Affairs. Doug, welcome to Stony Brook University. And I wanted to thank a couple of people who are playing key roles as interim. Rich Reeder, who's serving as interim vice president for research. Rich, thank you so much for your service. And Larry Swanson, serving as interim dean for the School of Marine and Atmospheric Sciences. Larry, thank you so much for taking on that important role. So faculty are key to everything we do at Stony Brook, and faculty excellence is really a pillar of our strength. We now have more than 1,850 full-time faculty. Those are bolstered by 300 net new faculty, which we've hired now since 2011. That's extraordinary and is very important as we look at our future. But this is among the most distinguished, in fact, not among the most, it is the most distinguished faculty in SUNY, no question, but it's also one of the most distinguished faculty in the world. And one of the things when we compare ourselves to our peers in the Association of American Universities, AAUs, one of the areas where we stand strong is the quality of our faculty, as well as the quality of our graduate education, which we'll talk about in a second. So these are areas of strength for us, and again, that's because of the incredible accomplishments of our faculty. So, beginning with the 2016 Hubbard Medal, this is awarded by National Geographic magazine for distinction in exploration, discovery, and research. If you look at the list of other winners, it includes Neil Armstrong, Richard Byrd, John Glenn, Jane Goodall, Charles Lindbergh, Robert Perry, and in 2016, Meev Leakey from our Department of Anthropology. And that's a fantastic award. You may recall a couple of years ago, Meev was elected to the National Academy of Science as well. And what's really amazing is Meev is not the first Leakey to receive this award. Her father-in-law, Louis Leakey, the distinguished paleoanthropologist, his wife, Mary Leakey, their son, Richard Leakey, Meev's husband, all three of them have also won the award. So 4 Leakeys have won, 2 of them from Stony Brook University. Very distinguished family and very distinguished faculty. The American Association for the Advancement of Science is one of the most important honorary organizations for scientific inquiry. Michael Froman, Ellen Pickett, and Michael Bell, all elected this year. Congratulations to them. We had 2 individuals elected to the prestigious American Academy of Microbiology Fellowship, James Konopka and Aaron Neiman. Again, congratulations to them. The SUNY Distinguished Professor Award is the highest award that SUNY gives for scholarship and research. It is the highest that they provide. And we had a large number of winners this year as well as last year, who I'm going to honor now. Bill Chittick in Asian and Asian American Studies. Larry Dutton, a member of the outstanding Emerson String Quartet, who are resident in our outstanding Department of Music. Michael Froman again in molecular biology. Ben Chao in chemistry. Chang-Ki Jung in physics and astronomy. Daniel Klein in psychology. Lorna Roll in neurobiology. Phil Setzer, again, a member of the Emerson String Quartet in music. Alan Tannenbaum in our outstanding computer science department. Kathleen Wilson from our Humanities Institute. No other university in SUNY had anywhere close to this number of distinguished professors, and I'm very proud of them. Please join me again. Congratulations. We also had a SUNY Distinguished Teaching Professor, Nancy Hollingsworth, in biochemistry and cell biology, and 2 SUNY Distinguished Service Professors, Peter Brink and Laura Folkman. Peter, I know, is retiring from Stony Brook University. He's contributed in a number of ways. Please join me in congratulating all of them. The SUNY Honorary Medallion of Distinction is a new award that's set up by the SUNY Academy to honor those particularly in the arts. And 3 Stony Brook faculty, Gene Drucker, again a member of the Emerson Quartet, David Finkel, a former member of the Emerson Quartet who still teaches at Stony Brook, and Paul Watkins, also a member of the Emerson Quartet, all were elected by this distinguished academy. The National Science Foundation puts forward career awards. These are for promising young scientists who they anticipate need support, but who display great qualities that make them promising for successful careers. We had 4 winners this year: Rizal Chowdhury in computer science, Jason Trelowitz in materials science and engineering, Jing Chen in computer science, Joanna Kirillik in physics and astronomy. Again, congratulations. So, of course, the university is not just about faculty, but faculty help us attract outstanding students. And these students always bring their drive, energy, intelligence, and enthusiasm to campus. And there's always such a contrast between the summertime when students are absent and the fall when they come back in terms of the energy level and the vigor of our campus. This year we had more than 35,000 applicants for 2,900 spots in the first-year class. We're the 12th most selective public university in the AAU. We now have our largest class ever, more than 25,600 undergraduates, highest quality total students, highest quality ever in terms of, it's 25,600 students, highest quality ever in terms of SAT and GPA, and I'm very excited to say we have the largest EOP AIM class in our history, so we're very excited about that. There are so many awards our students receive, but I narrowed them down to just a few. The Goldwater Scholarship is one of the most distinguished national awards available for students. This year we had 3. That ties our record. Michael Degatti, Leah Kenigsberg, and Iona Soesha. We had 3 Fulbright scholars, Michelle Shirapa, Ross Medico, and Samara Mian. And you don't always think about Stony Brook University and Glamour magazine in the same sentence, but Ruchi Cha from Stony Brook University, who's had a number of national awards for her excellence in a variety of ways, who's now a first-year student at Stony Brook School of Medicine, was voted by Glamour magazine one of the top 10 college women in the country. So again, fantastic accolades for our students. So working together, our students, faculty, and staff are changing the world, and they're doing this through cutting-edge research in a number of areas. And I just want to feature a couple of the things that were going on. Let's go to the most basic things. Why do we actually exist? Why is there actually do we exist in the universe? Why is the universe dominated by matter? Because we know from physics that for every particle of matter you produce, you should produce a particle of antimatter as well, right? Based on conventional physics. And that means those matter and antimatter particles would come together, neutralize each other, and there'd be nothing but energy. And yet here we are today existing. So it means that there must be some reason why there's more matter than antimatter in the universe. And so the T2K collaboration, which has been exploring neutrinos, reported that in fact there are more neutrinos than antineutrinos produced in certain kinds of collisions, validating what's called charge parity violation, meaning why we have matter today. This kind of fundamental research about the origins of the universe, about why we exist, is the kind of work that's going on at Stony Brook and making a difference. From the beginning of the universe to healthcare delivery in Madagascar. So this is the Central Val Bio building in the rainforest in Madagascar, and parked on top is a drone. And so Stony Brook's Global Health Institute, led by Peter Small, has been working with Vayu Incorporated to actually use drones to make a difference in healthcare in Madagascar, transporting lab samples from remote sites where it's difficult to drive to by drone, bringing them back to the central lab so they can be analyzed. At the same time, bringing medications or vaccines to distant sites by drone. This is a way we think drones can make a difference in the future. We know Amazon is looking forward to delivering all our packages via drones. We want to be ahead of this and use it for good for medicine as well. This is I think one of the most interesting studies I think that came out in any form of science last year. Lorna Roll and her colleagues working in mouse models were able to discover a method to tune memory. So essentially, by changing release of acetylcholine, a neurotransmitter from certain neuronal cells, one could either enhance memories or down-regulate memories. That has extraordinary impact, you can imagine, for things like post-traumatic stress disease, for example, PTSD, where downplaying a damaging memory could actually help relieve someone's stress and disease. At the same time, for example, for patients with depression, upregulating good memories and helping people remember good things could be helpful as well. So it's extraordinarily powerful, and again, an example of the kind of amazing research that's going on at Stony Brook University. Here's a debate reference, I guess, unintentional. Universities serve as the source for expertise, right? So when you watch the news and people want to understand, get an expert opinion on something, they often look to universities because our professors, our scientists, are experts in a wide variety of areas. And one of the strengths Stony Brook has, particularly in our political science department, is our expertise on elections, voting, balloting, polling, all lies within our Department of Political Science. So this year, in this election year, there have been more than 972 reports featuring Stony Brook faculty. This was done before the debate, so there's probably more than 1,000 after this now, with 1.2 billion impressions worldwide. So we are helping people learn about the election. We are helping people make informed decisions about the election as well through our group in political science. So again, my congratulations to each and every one of them for the kind of impact they're having nationally and internationally on this very important event. So another way in which students, faculty, and staff work together is in athletics. something that, again, provides incredible excitement, spirit, and a sense of community for the university. And also, because of the outstanding academic performance of our athletes, also helps actually raise the overall GPA of Stony Brook. This year, we had a number of exciting things happen, but I want to focus on 2 America East Conference championships. Our women's lacrosse team, which has been outstanding over the past few years, had another fantastic season, winning the American East Conference championship and competing well in the NCAA tournament. And then, of course, as everybody knows, we finally won the America East Conference championship. We've had great basketball teams for years. It was nice to see them rewarded by winning the American East Conference championship and then going to the NCAA tournament. So again, my congratulations to all the good things that are happening at Stony Brook Athletics. Sean Hilbrun, our athletic director, congratulations to you and all the people making this happen. So let's hear it. So a number of these good things translate into positive rankings for the university, and last year was no exception. We had a number of rankings that reflect our incredible value, the fact that our tuition remains very affordable and low, yet the quality of education remains high. Financial outcomes for our students remain very high, so we rank within the top 11 of all AAU publics in terms of earnings after graduation for our students. All of these things translate into value for the university. So we were listed among Forbes' best value colleges, Kiplinger's top 35 best value public universities, Money Magazine's best colleges. But we also had some accolades or some positive shout-outs about our work, the diversity of our campus as well. So we were voted the 7th most diverse out of top 100 universities by best colleges, and one of the top 50 colleges for African Americans. That doesn't mean we don't have work to do to be a more inclusive campus, and I'll talk more about that in a second, but this is a step in the right direction to reach these kinds of accolades, so we appreciate it. We also were still ranked in the top 100 universities in the nation U.S. News Report, although there was some slippage there as we went from 89 to 96 in that top 100. I'll talk a little bit more about that a little later in my presentation. But it does really relate to some of the challenges we face, particularly related to resources going forward. But I think we can correct some of that fall, and I anticipate we will move up again next year. That we will see. So what I wanted to do now, when I spoke last year, I talked about what we needed to do to get into the top 20 of public universities. What were the things Stony Brook needed to do to move forward to reach the top 20 of public universities? And I really had about 7 things that we were looking at in terms of reaching it. I want to go through each of these 7 now in the rest of the talk and talk about where we are on them, where we've moved the needle, where we've progressed, where we need to do more, and some of the things we're doing to try and improve and get better going forward. So the first thing that was on that list that is not going to be on the things I present was simply trying to pursue excellence in everything in all of our endeavors. So that's an overriding goal of ours, to pursue excellence in all of our endeavors. It's hard to call that out and talk about progress in that particular area, so I won't. I'll deal with these more specific ones. But I don't ever want to lose track of the fact that in everything we do, in our scholarship, in our teaching, in athletics, in our healthcare, we continually strive to be excellent in everything we do. But I want to break down now some more specific areas. So the first thing is raising 4-year graduation rates. This is one of these areas where we lag where we should be. So if you look at our AAU peers, we're behind in where we should be in 4-year graduation rates. As I'll show you in a second, we've improved, but we haven't actually improved to keep pace with the quality of our class. The quality of our class in terms of SAT and GPA actually predicts a higher graduation rate than we have. And that delta in that actually penalizes us in U.S. News and World Report. That's not a reason to increase our graduation rates. The reason to increase our completion rates is that it's really beneficial for our students to graduate in 4 years. They graduate with less debt. They get into the workforce sooner if that's what they're interested in. They can get to graduate school sooner if that's what they're interested in. It also increases our throughput. It allows us to admit more students if we turn over students in 4 years. So there are so many reasons why we want to complete in 4 years, but I wanted to point out it also has an impact on where we go in U.S. News and World Report. So this is the data. We're actually going to achieve the highest graduation rates ever. Freshman graduation rates will reach all-time levels this year. 4-year graduation rates are up from about 46% when I came in 2009 to about 54% now. So they've moved up. 6-year graduation rates, again, will reach an all-time high of 72%. Now remember, these numbers are not very accurate, right, in that they're IPEDS numbers. So what they reflect is any student who started at Stony Brook and whether they finish at Stony Brook. So if you start at Stony Brook and transfer to Cornell, you're counted as a loss on this particular figure, right? So those don't count. So it's not a complete accurate picture of what happens to students who enroll at Stony Brook, but this is the data. This is what everybody uses to compare. There's another method that's actually called SAM. I like the title, the Student Achievement Measure that APLU and others have developed. That actually tries to track down through data clearinghouses the true outcome for students, and we do much better on SAM. So our 6-year are well in excess of 80% if you go to a SAM measure. So most students who enter Stony Brook end up graduating from college. The vast majority do. But I just wanted you to know where these numbers come from. So we're moving, but I don't think we're moving fast enough. We'd set a goal of 60% four-year graduation rate by 2020. We're moving towards that goal, and I think we're making progress towards that goal. But I'm going to talk today about recommitting to extend that and make it move even farther and faster. So what have we done? We set up the Finish in 4 Fund. I talked about that last year. This is a fund we established to help provide support for students who reach an economic bump in the road. So they're doing well academically, but there's something in their family and their circumstance that changes that creates a temporary shortfall in their ability to pay for their college that next semester. We'll give them a grant to pay for it. You can apply, you'll get a grant. It's not a loan, it's a grant. What we expect is you to finish and graduate. That's our expectation, but we'll do it. This program to date has been about 100% successful, but there haven't been that many students who have utilized it. So we've had 15 one year, I think 13 another year, I think 3 have enrolled so far this year. It's relatively early in the year. So again, to all the students out there, if you run into this type of problem, there is a program available to help you, and I urge you to look into it and take advantage of it. We don't want a short-term economic issue to keep you from finishing Stony Brook in 4 years. We want to make the investment in you to complete. We got an additional $365,000 from the program for SUNY through their incentive program, so we actually have more money to fund it than we did before. The money in the past all came from the president's office. We have more money now, so again, pay attention to this program. One of the things that I set up 2 years ago was a council of student advisors. These are outstanding students at Stony Brook, juniors and seniors, who are picked by faculty, nominated by faculty to form a council to advise me on critical issues. They are allowed to speak with candor about issues on campus. And the great thing is, to do their research, they have access to all the research that's available on campus. So the Office of Institutional Research, Braden Hosh, all the vice presidents of the university, all are essentially obligated to work with them to get them the data they need to study something. So the first year, they studied class and calendar, class availability and calendar, what changes might be necessary to help students succeed through changes. And one of the things they came up with, which is pretty amazing because they did focus groups, so they talked to fellow students, they did polling, focus groups, and so on. One of the things they came up with was Stony Brook might offer Saturday classes. So again, not necessarily what I expected from the student group was Saturday classes, but yes, focused on Saturday classes as part of one solution for bottleneck classes and laboratories. So this is something that we can't do alone. Obviously, faculty engagement is critical. Faculty have to work if we're going to do something like this to make it happen. But I think it's an indication of how committed the students are to finishing in 4, to having opportunities to finish 4 and make a difference. So I think we need to, I pledge, and I know the leadership is pledging, to work with them now to see if we can make some of this a reality. Our SBOLD initiative is about online courses. We have focused on bottleneck courses again, those courses that hold people up from graduating on time. We are looking for flipped or online solutions for those courses. We've had about $1 million in funding to help with that. That program continues, but we're looking for change, and we're looking to find more access for these classes going forward, and that's going to be one of the metrics by which we measure this program. We know that advising is absolutely critical to student success. Better advising leads to better graduation rates, leads to more student completion. So we're investing both in people and software to provide better advising, including an automated cellular phone system that will notify students when they miss appointments, that will notify students when they're missing classes, that will provide updates on when they need to register, all these kind of things provided in a way that something they pay attention to, which is their phone, as opposed to email and other things. And we're investing about $1.6 million now, again, with some help from SUNY to push this forward. One of the programs that's been consistently successful in helping students graduate is our Educational Opportunity EOP program. And so we're very pleased that the state made an increased $430,000 investment in Stony Brook's EOP program. I've made investments in that program as well. And together, as I talked about earlier, that's allowing us to expand this program to have it serve more people. And I think the best practices from EOP are a great template for us as we move forward. And finally, the library is key to people's ability to study, the environment at Stony Brook, helping make it a welcoming place. And as you know, we invested about $3 million to renovate the Ward Melville Library. When we finish this talk today, I invite you all to come join us as we cut the ribbon for the renovated reading rooms. But this is another investment we're making in student success. And again, some of these things up here, as well as the library, a lot of it was student-driven, where students talked about needs to improve the library, to expand its hours, and so on. So I thank the students who are committed to improving this as well, and for their ideas and creativity in moving these things forward. So, one of the ways in which we're going to have a campus with great graduation rates and great completion rates and great retention is to have an inclusive campus and a diverse campus. It improves every aspect, from research, from education, to campus life. So diversity is a high priority for us. I think everyone's aware that we developed a plan for equity, inclusion, and diversity, and I thank Judy Greiman and all of the steering committee, working groups, and advisory council who've been working on this. I know some of the students who've played a critical role on this are here. Front row, could you guys please stand and let us thank you for your efforts? Thank you. Our goal is really to improve the diversity of the, thank you, again. Our role is really to improve the diversity of the Stony Brook community through enhanced recruitment and retention of faculty, students, and staff, to expand the educational, research, healthcare, and other efforts to promote diversity on our campus, to support the development of a campus climate, and this is really critical, that values diversity, equity, and inclusion, and I think maybe most importantly for us in the room is a culture of accountability and assessment. Hold people accountable for making their contributions to diversity and assess where we are. Survey the campus climate, understand where we are in employment, in pay equity. All these things are key to creating the kind of culture we want. So we have initiated a number of things. The working groups are meeting all through the summer, steering committee meeting through the summer, but we are actually implementing. And this was very important when we talked about this plan. This can't be about talk. It has to be about action, things that are actually being done. I originally had a list of about 20 things up here that have started already. I narrowed it down, but if you go to our website, you can see the kind of things that are happening. University leadership has already received training on hidden biases to help us do a better job of developing a campus of inclusion. We created the Response to Equity and Diversity and Inclusion Initiative to create bias awareness on campus. And Robbie Kincaid, faculty member in the Department of Health Technology and School of Health Technology and Management, has been appointed into the president's office for a 2-year special appointment to implement training across the campus in bias. And so if you're a department chair, a dean, a faculty member, you should be inquiring, when will Robbie come? When is she going to be available to give the kind of training that we think is necessary throughout the campus? We have launched a search for a chief diversity officer to help coordinate all of these activities. That's absolutely critical, and that job is being posted and will be filled with someone, we hope, outstanding. We've increased our content on bias and gender equity for orientation and 101 courses. We want to reach out to students right when they arrive at Stony Brook. So right during orientation, we want to start talking about diversity and inclusion. It's incredibly important, and this is a core part of what we're trying to do. We want to get the same kind of content available for faculty as well. So developing content that's available for faculty, both online and in-person training, and again, that's an important part of what we're doing. One of the issues that's around the country is the issue around policing and the community. So we thought it was very important to increase the lines of communication between Stony Brook University Police and our students. So we've had a number of workshops and meetings to help build that communication. That's incredibly important. I think our police at Stony Brook University do an outstanding job. Very proud of Bob Lanahan and the team, but there's always opportunities for improvement, and working to improve communication so that student leaders and police know each other, understand each other's issues and what the problems are. That level of communication makes a huge difference. It's a difference often sometimes from something that could be very minor growing into something big. So that type of understanding is key, and I'm very proud we're initiating this program. And we've also worked to change campus residences and buildings like the SAC and so on to ensure gender inclusive and accessible spaces. We have more work to do. Again, in all of these items, we are by no means finished with what we need to do, but I wanted to emphasize how high a priority for this is for us going forward. One component of this is the push for gender equity that's represented by HeForShe. HeForShe was started by UN Women. They selected 10 universities around the world, 10 corporations, including Facebook, for example, Lever Brothers, PricewaterhouseCoopers, and 10 nation states. All 30 are to work together to promote gender equity. The first meeting was held in Davos of the corporate sponsors. The second meeting was just held last week at the UN, and the universities presented at that time. I had the chance to appear along with 8 other university champions to talk about the kind of commitments that Stony Brook is making to move gender equity forward. We had a great event at the Museum of Modern Art. Stony Brook was co-sponsor, along with PricewaterhouseCoopers, and the president of Finland was the other co-sponsor, so the 3 of us co-sponsored this event. This is Bob Moritz, the chairman of PricewaterhouseCoopers, Phumzile Mlambo Nguka, who was here on the stage a couple weeks ago, talking about HeForShe, answering questions from the audience, did a spectacular job of talking about why UN Women founded HeForShe, what their goals are, and why it matters that men get engaged in promoting gender equity. Edgar Ramirez, the actor, Hands of Stone, soon to be Women on the Train, gave an extraordinary speech at the MoMA about the importance of men being engaged and how men can be stuck in limiting role models and to their detriment. Emma Watson, I think probably needs no introduction. She has been the spokesperson for HeForShe and has really galvanized worldwide support in this. And this is the president of Finland, whose name is Sauli Niinisto, and then the president of Stony Brook University. So it was great company to be in. If you go to our website, you can see the whole program from the MoMA event. I spoke between the Prime Minister of Japan, Shinzo Abe, and the Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau. It was an extraordinary opportunity for Stony Brook to take a lead internationally and nationally on issues related to diversity and gender equity. That's where we want to be positioned around the country and around the world, is a leader on this issue. So we have commitments to HeForShe, to close the gender gap in matriculation and completion, to integrate gender equality and bias training into the academic and social experience on campus. We have a unique asset. It's probably one of the main reasons we became part of HeForShe, our Center for the Study of Men and Masculinities, who is doing the kind of research that is showing why gender equity is good for all. It's not just good for women, it's good for all when we promote gender equity. And because we're in SUNY, we have the opportunity to expand our outreach to more than nearly 460,000 students and nearly 90,000 faculty and staff. So this has been something great. I want to thank Charlie Robbins, who's played a key role in this. Charlie, there he is. Thank you so much for your role. Judy Greiman, I talked about already, and her important role. This, again, is something that's really making a difference for the university, and I think is going to be something that helps us be at the vanguard in this area. So, sponsored research. At its core, Stony Brook University is a research institution, and the research we do is extraordinarily important for this region and for the world. So how are we doing in sponsored research? And the answer is, it's not been good. So if you look at our sponsored programs and expenditures, this is how much money we're spending on research. What you can see is from 2007 to 2016, no growth. There has been a bump that was associated with the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act that bumped us in these years and then trailed off over about a 5-year period. But since that time, since 2014, no real growth as we take out the Arab bump. This has been a tough time for research nationally. You know, there are excuses we can make. NIH budgets have been flat. Sequestration actually reduced NIH and NSF budgets for a couple years, so what's out there in the pool has not been what it should be. But nevertheless, this isn't the kind of performance that we should expect based on the quality of our faculty, the quality of our students, as well as a number of the facilities and opportunities we have with Brookhaven National Laboratory, the kinds of collaborations we're able to establish in those areas. We should be doing better, I think, than we are right now. There is something that's going to help this. I'm absolutely certain, and that's the new faculty we've been hiring. So as you look at the new faculty we've added, they are going to submit grants. Many of them are going to be successful, and we should see an increase associated with this. But part of that is dependent on how well we're able to support those new faculty, and are we able to provide what they need to be successful. So I have a real sense of urgency about this. I'm very dissatisfied with how we're doing here. I think we need to really change. We've had some great ideas that have been started. We have a proposal development team now that's in the Office of the Vice President for Research that's helping us put together high value research proposals. So those large grants for over $5 million, $10 million, help us get there. That's an area where we've had a gap. So if you compare us with other institutions, we haven't gotten as many as those large value grants as other institutions have. So we're going to help our faculty do this, provide support for faculty to do this. These things are difficult to put together. I did it at WashU. I had a very large grant, but it required a lot of help for me to get it. So I want to make sure that faculty have this kind of support in putting it forward. We're increasing our workshops on submitting grants. Our workshops have been oversubscribed. We're incredibly popular, and I think they can be effective, really teaching people how to navigate NIH, how to navigate the National Science Foundation, the Department of Energy. This is incredibly important for people who want to submit grants, particularly new faculty, particularly international faculty, to help them understand the best way to submit grants and get money. One of the keys to our success in research is graduate education. And Stony Brook has a great tradition about standing graduate students, but we haven't been paying them enough. We're losing graduate students to other institutions. We are under fiscal restraints, as everybody knows, but as I traveled around the campus, both sides of the street, and talked to faculty departments about what they need, one thing came up more than anything else, and that was graduate student support. That was the one thing that came up more than anything else. So working within the budget, we pulled an additional $1.5 million for this year. That'll be about $1,500 for 1,000 graduate students to increase their stipends. Still not getting us to the top, but getting us closer to where we need to do in the AAU. And we're going to examine this again. I do not want to lose outstanding students because we can't pay enough. Graduate students deserve to have a wage that can make them successful. We have to support it, and we'll continue to work on it. I mentioned before helping our new faculty as well as existing faculty have the kind of facilities they need to succeed. We've had a big bolus of new faculty, so we've fallen behind in terms of renovating labs and providing space and office space. So we pulled money out of utility savings this year, about $3 million, to create a renovation fund to help speed up renovation of laboratory space and office space for new faculty, and we hope that will make a difference as we continue to go forward. We're bringing online new research space, the Medical and Research Translation Building, 2 new buildings that'll be on our R&D park, which I'll talk more about in a second, are going to come online. We're looking very hard for a multi-purpose engineering building to accommodate some of the tremendous growth in engineering students and faculty. And we want to do better utilization of current space. So we will be returning to the issue around utilization of space to make sure we're using our space optimally to provide support for research. One of the things I heard a lot when I traveled around, and I heard it when I was at WashU and Vice President for Research, was that the university itself creates barriers to faculty submitting grants. That often the red tape, bureaucracy, things related to compliance may go above and beyond what the federal government requires or what the state requires. And we've created some of these barriers ourselves. So I've asked Rich Reeder to step forward a project with a number of task force to look at every step of the way for research. So whether it's submitting grants, administering grants, compliance-related components, human studies research, every component will be looked at to see, are we doing this the most efficiently and most effectively to help our students? The more time, to help our faculty. The more time our faculty can spend in their actual science and the research, as opposed to managing their grants, the more successful they're going to be going forward. So this is incredibly important, and we will act on the findings of this group as they move forward. HeForShe is a part of this. This is, we believe, going to be a more effective way of supporting grant applications and administration. It's going to have a number of other bells and whistles that we believe will be important and helpful for researchers. And we have a $1.7 million commitment to bringing HeForShe forward and replacing the old Coleus and other systems. And finally, one of the things that I've heard again and again is that some faculty feel as though there's no incentive to get more grants, that they're okay where they are, and since they don't get more money back if they get more grants, if they've already covered their salary, they don't see an incentive. We have to find ways to incent people to get more grants. So we'll look at programs to return indirect costs to faculty who are successful in grants, even if that means taking some money from current channels that are supported by indirect costs. I think we've reached a point now where we can no longer wait for indirect costs to rise to make a delta, make a allocation from an increase in indirect costs. I think even at the lower indirect cost level we are now, we're going to have to change this because we really need faculty to submit more grants and to provide incentives to do it. So all of these things are designed to really improve what we're doing in research. So we also need to increase investment in Stony Brook University. Investment in Stony Brook University, as I look at it, really comes from a number of sources. The slide is really featuring our donors. Scott Abrams, one of our distinguished alum, with a student who he supports a scholarship for. I'm standing here with a number of students at the Stars for Stony Brook Gala, which raises money for student scholarships. So fundraising is extraordinarily important for us in everything we do. Stony Brook University's capital campaign is the largest in SUNY's history. It's a $600 million campaign. We announced it back in November, its official announcement. Carrie and Maricela Stoller, Jim and Marilyn Simons, Peggy and Rich Gelfond, and of course this campaign is led by the efforts of Dexter Bailey, Senior Vice President for Advancement. Dexter here? There he is. Dexter, thank you for your leadership on this. So Dexter and his team have already raised, it must be over 470 million now, is it? Yeah. What's the newest number?
Probably, if you're going to push me, probably 472.
472. So just while we've been sitting here, $472 million out of our $600 million goal. That's thanks to 38,000 donors to the university. How they break down is shown here. 38,225 campaign donors. 48 have given more than $1 million. $1 million gifts are not that common in fundraising. They really aren't. So to have 48 $1 million plus gifts, I think, for Stony Brook campaign is actually pretty spectacular. They have supported 42 endowed professorships or endowed chairs now. That's up from 6 or 7 when I came to Stony Brook, so that really has made a difference. So we're supporting research, campus facilities, faculty and academic support. This is, again, back to these faculty endowments. Student financial aid, we really want to raise more for this. I would like to see that number doubled, essentially, in terms of how much we raise. We have a lot of unmet need for students at Stony Brook that we want to meet, and I think raising more money for student financial aid would help us do this. And funds for excellence, these are really important to the deans. So this is unrestricted money for the deans to really help them invest in innovative ideas, to help them retain faculty. $17 million there. We want to raise even more to help the deans as they pursue excellence in their schools. So all of this is moving forward, I think, in a very good way, but it's absolutely critical for us. This is the margin for excellence for us. This fundraising is what allows us to be a great university. The state and our tuition money allow us to do a good job educating students, allow us to do a number of important things, but we are not going to reach that top tier. We're not going to reach the top 20 public universities if we don't do better in fundraising. And I think Dexter and his team have built an incredible infrastructure, but we can't stop here. We need to really push even harder in our fundraising, and faculty can be engaged in this. I know our deans are very engaged in this, but all of us need to be engaged in this campaign as we move forward. Another way we invest is by really working to cut our costs. So I look upon that as an investment in the university and in our core mission. So Project 50 Forward, which literally looks at operational excellence through administration, has saved about $13 million this year. That's in things related to IT solutions to problems, procurement issues, cutting costs for purchasing, and so on. All of these things have led to about a $13 million annual savings. And that money is plowed back in to the core mission in academics, in everything we want to do to support students. So it's really important we continue to push this. We will continue to push Project 50 forward. But one of the things that the Project 50 Forward team wants you to know is that a number of the engagements they've had actually provide tools that schools could use as well. So some of these tools are not just for central administration. They're not just for the kind of things the administration is doing on a day-to-day basis. A number of these tools can actually help in schools as well. So really encourage you to work with the Project 50 Forward team, understand the kind of tools that are available that may help you reduce costs, do things more efficiently, and again, allow you to save money on your budgets going forward. So, I don't always like to give bad grades, but we had a tough year last year when it came to increasing state or student investment in Stony Brook. Both are extraordinarily important. So the state investment is very important for us, state allocation, that's important. both in terms of state allocation dollars to support our general operating, as well as capital money. Both those things are important, and we had some failures in what we got there. And we also didn't extend SUNY 2020. And SUNY 2020, which everybody has heard me talk about many times, this really extraordinarily transformational plan that allowed us to do modest increase in tuition, no more than $300 a year over a 5-year period, along with the academic excellence fee that the university centers received. It contained a maintenance of effort clause, which said that the state couldn't cut our budget, so we weren't in the situation where tuition raises were countermanded by decreases in state allocation. That's happened in the past in SUNY. That couldn't happen under this plan. So it really was an ideal plan, and it allowed students and their families to plan for what their costs would be. They knew what their costs would be each year. There were no surprise tuition increases that occurred. Everybody knew what they were going to pay going in. So it was really an outstanding program. And I'm really proud to say that undergraduate student government at Stony Brook, and I see Cole in the audience, supported this. They were very much in favor of doing SUNY 2020, which was great. The governor put it in his budget, which was great as well. But at the end of the day, it didn't get passed by the Assembly or the Senate. So it didn't become law. So we lost SUNY 2020. At the same time, we got no increase in state allocation. So effectively, we got a budget cut, right? We have mandatory pay raises from collective bargaining agreements. It's about an $8 million cost on this side of the street. So we didn't have increased dollars to cover that, essentially. So that's essentially like taking an $8 million budget cut, and that's not even counting inflation or other costs that go through. So essentially, we took a budget cut of about $10 million. And I'm going to blame that a little bit for part of the U.S. News and World Report. So one of the reasons, probably the primary reason we went down in U.S. News and World Report is because we reduced the number of small classes we had. Because of budgetary constraints in schools, people consolidated classes, so we ended up with fewer classes with under 20. That's a U.S. News and World Report categories, and more classes with over 50 because of consolidated classes. And that helped lower our rankings in U.S. News and World Report. It's not the only reason, but it was a pretty central reason. So we can work on that, and I think we will work on improving that number, because small classes really are, I think, a vital part of the educational experience. I think they do make a difference in how people experience the undergraduate years. So I think we want to maintain some of those small classes. That's not just to do U.S. News and World Report. I think that's part of the experience. And I think also in terms of people's majors, people may have lost opportunities for classes that would fit their majors in that kind of cutback. So I think we need to make adjustments there. But this, I think, is pretty directly responsible to fiscal pressure we feel when we don't get increases in state allocation or in tuition dollars. So we need to do better. This is going to be a high priority for us going forward, is to get SUNY 2020 extended. This is not an election year for the Assembly, for the State Assembly or the State Senate, so I think we're going to have a better chance of doing this. But it's up to us to make the case. We have to talk about why this is vital. Why does Stony Brook matter? Why does our education matter? Why does the research we do matter? Because it's very important they understand what the reason is to support these modest increases, and why it's important that we continue to move Stony Brook forward for the region and for the nation. We did get a modest increase in capital to the hospital. We did get a modest increase in critical maintenance dollars, and we're very excited about that. But we can't let this happen next year. I think it would be fiscally disastrous for us. Last two things I want to talk about. One is continue our role in driving New York State's innovation economy. We are so fortunate that the state of New York, the Regional Economic Development Council, the governor have placed, and particularly the state Senate and state Assembly, have placed great confidence in Stony Brook for a role in economic development on Long Island. They have been extraordinarily generous in supporting us in this mission, and it's one we take very seriously. There are 2 new buildings that are coming to supplement the infrastructure we've built already. The Long Island High Technology Incubator, our incubator in Calverton, our Center for Excellence in Wireless and Information Technology, which houses startup companies, our Advanced Energy Research Technology Center, which also houses startup companies. All of these are going to be supplemented by a building we've received money for, the Innovation and Discovery Center. This is a $60 million building. The rendering is here. It's going in the R&D park right across from CWIT. It is going to be a mezzanine building. So one that allows us to take companies out of the Long Island High Technology Incubator and move them over to new space when they've graduated, when they've outgrown the incubator. But they don't want to cut the umbilical cord with Stony Brook University. We also want to put faculty in this building as well. And I think it'll be an exciting building to be present in, particularly maybe with faculty who have more applied research involved, whether it's in biotechnology or in engineering, whatever the area is. This is going to be featured in this this building, and we're very excited about it. Design phase, I think, is nearly completed. I hope to announce groundbreaking very soon, and I would hope maybe second quarter of 2018 that we'll have a building on that site. And this will be the third building on that site, and we're really starting to develop with critical mass. So there'll be some food services and other things available within this building to really respect the fact that we've added so many people now to that R&D park. So the fourth building is something we're incredibly excited about. We received $75 million in this year's budget, and this project is up for review now by ESDC Cumming. This is the Institute for Discovery at the Interface of Medicine and Engineering. We have an outstanding medical school. We have an outstanding School of Engineering. Great biomedical engineering department, Clint, outstanding one. We have, thank you. We have lots of opportunities to really be at the forefront in this area. So this building is going to feature high-performance computing, data analytics. It's also, though, going to feature the kind of cutting-edge research like Lorna Roll is doing. So imagine your ability to tune memories might be controlled by tiny chips that are implanted in the brain, so brain chip development, for example. Those are the kind of things and kind of projects we want to put in this building. So it's going to contain, again, we imagine faculty, startup companies, all are going to be housed here, but again, at the cutting edge of this interface between medicine and engineering. So one of our core missions is to provide the best healthcare to our region in the world. That's really the mission of Stony Brook Medicine. Lots of exciting things happening over there. The MART and New Children's Hospital are closer to completion. Everybody's excited about it. I wish they were done this year. I wish they'd been done last year, but I'm going to be excited when they open. One of the things I think that in talking to people when I've been making my tour that people, not everybody realizes, is that this hospital bed tower, while it's going to house the New Children's Hospital, it's going to house intensive care units, so it's really going to expand our clinical capacity. It's also designed to be the future total hospital of Stony Brook University. So we are able to build, based on the design on top of this, another 11 stories on this building, which will greatly increase our capacity and allow us essentially to move what's in the old hospital potentially at some point in time over to this new space. So that's exciting. And I want people to know that this isn't just about building the New Children's Hospital, although that's great. It isn't just about expanding. It's also about really part of the future building. And if you're going to compete in this highly competitive world of healthcare, you have to have the latest in facilities if you're going to be competitive. This is among the most competitive businesses in the world. Very simple. We need to deliver quality, and we need to deliver great facilities, and this is going to help us be at the cutting edge. So we're very excited about the MART and the bed tower coming to fruition. We've made really good progress. This has been a 4-year ordeal. I don't think Odysseus had as long a journey as we've had in getting Southampton Hospital licensed. It really is the Odyssey. But I think my hope is by the first of the year, we will be done with this. Very exciting. Old Forest Park, Old Forest Laboratories building in Comac is going to be converted into large space for outpatient facilities for Stony Brook University, and we're very excited about that. And we've created a new degree program in biomedical informatics. It's one of the new innovations in education that's taking place at Stony Brook Medicine as well. Again, something really that's a 21st century project. And Ken Kishansky, Senior Vice President for the Health Sciences, really led the effort, and Ken, congratulations, to develop an affiliation between Mount Sinai and Stony Brook University. We're really excited about this. Mount Sinai is looking to Stony Brook for outstanding sciences. As you know, Mount Sinai isn't actually part of a university. They're solely a medical school. So they look at our computer sciences departments, the kind of work we're doing in biomedical informatics, the physics, chemistry, and imaging, structural biology that we bring to the table. And they're very excited about working with our scientists in collaborative projects. They're number 7 in per capita funding from NIH, so they've done outstanding work in the life sciences. And so the two entities coming together, I think, are going to be greater than the sum of the parts, and I think will really make a difference for research. And Ken and Dennis Charney, his counterpart at Mount Sinai, have committed to funding joint projects between the two. So Stony Brook will support Stony Brook scientists, Mount Sinai will support Mount Sinai scientists, but they'll come together to work to develop projects. And then hopefully we'll go out and get NIH funding to support those projects, or NSF funding, wherever it is. That's the goal. That's what we want to move forward. At the same time, there's great clinical opportunities, and we're still fleshing a lot of those out. We certainly want to be involved in cardiovascular, and we've talked about best practices and sharing best practices in those areas. I see educational opportunities. That's a 7-hospital system system. So I would love to see opportunities for our nursing students, our physician assistant students, our medical students to potentially do clinical rotations there. That would be great. So that's an opportunity. And I think there will be other things that will develop as well. So it's up to us, I think, to work together to pursue these things, but there's great opportunity from this collaboration. So all of these great things are happening. I think everybody knows we've started our campaign, Far Beyond, critical marketing and communications campaign for the university. It's really designed to tell all the best stories that are happening on campus, whether they come from physics, humanities, wherever, to tell those stories and help us then attract the best and brightest students and faculty to Stony Brook, to connect with our alumni in ways that they find engaging. We really want more alumni support and more alumni engagement in all realms with Stony Brook, and an opportunity to increase philanthropic support as well. That's really key. So Far Beyond is happening. We rolled it out on the campus. I think the students who I talked to were incredibly excited about the banners, about the mantra, about what's up in the sack. But we have more opportunities now to push it out. So we've headed on campus. Now we're going to push it out to the outside world. We're going to make significant commitment to getting our story out so more people know about Stony Brook and the amazing things that are happening here. So to conclude, from Brookhaven National Laboratory, which we continue to manage, which continues to be one of the best DOE labs and one of the best resources for nuclear physics and imaging in the world, to the Alda Center for Communicating Science, a novel, innovative program that's helping Stony Brook train scientists and help communicate to the public, something that's never been more important than it is now. 47% of Americans believe in ghosts. We need to do better, science communication. No, seriously. I find that kind of frightening, frankly. It's true. Simon Center for Geometry and Physics, where some of the world's greatest mathematicians and physicists are coming together to talk about the intersection of geometry and physics and what that tells us about our universe. International work in SUNY Korea, in Madagascar at Central Val Bio, in Kenya at Turkana Basin Institute, and right here on this campus in the renovation library we'll see in a second. I think we're setting the infrastructure and developing the resources we need to extend our reach and impact of the university locally, nationally, and globally. And I think we know, and I tried to lay out today some of the things we need to do to move forward. Issues around diversity, issues around research funding, issues around our commitment to medical care in these regions. All things that we need to recommit ourselves to doing. We can fulfill our destiny. I think we're ready to do that, but it's not going to happen without you, the faculty. It's not going to happen without you, our students, and it's not going to happen without you, our staff, and it's not going to happen without the elected officials and everybody who's a friend of Stony Brook. Pulling together, I think we really can make a difference, and I greatly appreciate you coming today and greatly appreciate your support. Thank you.